It's been a long time coming, more than 5 years. But man, what a time to be an Advance of Zeta fan. The Hazel Owsla Gigantic Arm Unit is officially a kit. From P-Bandai of course, but hey, gone are the days where you actually have to buy hard to find magazine kits mind you, which go for gold these days, and buy an expensive kit literally just for charms. It's literally like that ever since, until now. Yeah, it's a P-Bandai kit, but this ain't a high-grade weeboo we're talking about here. Let me show you what I mean. But before anything else, I would like to answer this question with a resounding yes. So what was the question? Are these Psycho Gundam arms brand new for this kit? Yep, all of these are brand new molds for 2022. And as you can see, they are beautiful. And you can see the part separation there, all of this yellow, the vents, the rod, the little details, the Advance of Zeta details on this thing. The fingertips, these fingertips, man, those are all plastic. There is not a single shred of a sticker in this build, and as you can see, it comes really good out of the box without even some panel lining. Heck, if you put a little bit of panel lining on this thing, a little bit of decals, this kit is gonna look so good. The articulation is even improved too. You can see how the double elbow joint works here. And man, let's attach these arms to the Gundam. And here it is, the RX-121 2P Gundam TR1 Hazel Owsla Gigantic Arm Unit. It's a variation of the Hazel Owsla with the Hguc 2 attached and the Psycho Gundam arms. Thanks to the bunny system, which was later present on the TRXL Lyra, the Hazel Owsla can't just use the manipulators, but can also use the 5-barrel beam cannons. The only feature it doesn't have is a side combi system, which can be said was solved if the plan to attach the wire-guarded arms of the Psycho Gundam Mark II came through. And based on the conversation I had with the bros on the Advance of Zeta Drum Frame Society Discord server, link below, as long as a unit has a Hguc 2 or higher, i.e. the Hguc Lyra, and the bunny system, it can be able to operate a set of giant arms itself, which we do see with other units, such as the Giant Arm Unit Rairu and Woundwort, the Queenly Full Armored, and of course, the aforementioned Lyra. This is also thanks to the Titan standardization, which made it easy for them to do many combination of parts and experiments. This Hazel Owsla Gigantic Arm Unit is armed with 5-barrel beam cannon fingers, long blade rifle, mega particle cannons, and the sub-arm unit. Yes, officially it has 6 arms, the giant arms, the Hazel arms, and the sub-unit arms. In theory, this will be a great hit-and-run machine, but we do have the Fiver and the Fiver 2 to deal with those kinds of situations. And the last variant, technically, was the Hazel Owsla Last Shooting version. Credits to Kakarot197 for that in his video. Check out that video, it's actually really good. Almost all of you probably watched it already, but still, it's still a really good video. And yeah, this is the Hazel Owsla Gigantic Arm Unit in all of its glory. As you can see, the joints here are really fun to pose, but man, getting it into a pose is kind of a little bit of a pain, just a little bit. But I would tell you to just take off the Hazel and the arms itself, pose them together, and boom, yeah, you got your perfect pose. But that's not what I did. I did manage to get through the initial flimsiness of it, but hey, I did get used to it, and man, once you finish posing this thing, this looks really good. This really is a universal century of the Gundam Astray, what was it again? The one with the giant arms too. That was pretty ridiculous too, and I kind of liked that design, but of course, I'm a Advance Zeta guy at heart. And as you can see, all of these are the extra runners, the extra parts on the runners you get. It's actually a lot. And the reason I'm showing you this is because you can do all of the variations shown here. Like the Hazel Owsla Gigantic Arm Unit Core Unit. The next generation mass production mobile suit. i.e. the Hazel Owsla. The Hazel Owsla 2. It's basically a stripped down version of the gigantic arm unit Hazel, but with the mono eye sensor from the advanced Hazel, and without the obvious giant arms. And last but not the least, here we have a Hazel sniper unit. Forgive the lack of cohesion in the parts, but believe me, ever since I showed you the runners, you can actually make this with it. I was just too lazy to do so. And here's some size comparisons. Here is the Hazel Owsla combat deployment colors and my Hazel Owsla 2. These Hazel Owsla 2 was made from most of the scraps I had, plus the shoulders from the gigantic arm unit. Yes, this kit really does have another set of those shoulders, which was really useful. And man, I'm thankful for it even more. And finally, I've completed these three major Owslas. And here it is next to the always bulky Hguc Free. And as you can see, the Hguc Free is taller, but man, the Hazel Owsla gigantic arm unit is a beast. So, final verdict. The only problems really left are those forearm seam lines. And after that, it's pretty much a perfect kit. But what if I told you I can solve it? As you can see here, we are going to solve the problem. We are going to close the seam line that many of the Hazels have, which is the forearm seam line. And today we will be doing the C-clip mod, which is actually very common, and I did learn this on the other Dengeki Hobby art magazines. As you can see, we are going to clip off that part and turn it into a C, hence being called a C-clip joint, as you can see here. And we will be trimming it for a bit more using our hobby knife, so we have more control over how much plastic we are removing. As seen here, I left a little bit more of a notch so that it will kind of snap into it in place. And we will now be taking off the major peg and hold on here, so we can insert this and close the seam line on the forearm. Oh, and there. I'm using my pliers, my rust buckets, to take off the peg and the hole. And as you can see here, we are going to add the polycap left. Yep. And that is the C-clip mod, but before that, we will be sanding it because this is a pretty thick piece because it won't fit it just as is. So we will be sanding this for a little bit. You don't need to over sand it, just enough so that you can insert the arm later once you seal in the seam line that's on the forearm. And as you can see, here it is. I have finally removed the excess plastic. And now it's time to close the seam line. First, we put in the polycap in here. And second, as you can see here, we have the seam line there. And I will be using Tamiya's extra thin limonene cement. And I'm telling you, if you have any issues with breathing, or if you don't like fumes, or have a family member that doesn't like it, get the limonene extra thin. Make sure you read it first though and see the consistency, because you might get the wrong product. But man, this smells good. You basically smell candies from it, which is good, but I don't recommend you smell it. Don't inhale it, but I'm telling you, it smells good. And as you can see, we are sealing the seam line. This is the most important part of the process. After that has dried, we can now test it out. But before that, we will be adding a little bit of a curve or an angle so we can insert this a little better and easier, as seen here. And there, you basically solved the problem that the Hazel Owsla gigantic arm unit had. But if you're still on the fence, I would tell you to get it, but if you're still on the fence, there is always MJ 2005 Gundam's review, which I will link below once it becomes available, if you have a second opinion. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.